But before we get there, I do want to talk about Kamala Harris. So first and foremost, Joe Biden already came out due to the external pressure from people in Michigan and the Vote Uncommitted campaign, which was a profound success for the record, and had said that a ceasefire will come on Monday. Of course, that ceasefire became less likely after the Flower Massacre occurred, which is when the Israeli occupying force opened live ammunition and opened fire, as we saw in the videos with the tracers, on a crowd of Palestinians that were trying to get aid from one of the few convoys that were allowed into Gaza. So that kind of gummed up the works a little bit in terms of continuing a ceasefire negotiation in good faith. And then after that, Biden had one other response. I don't know exactly where it was. It was like one of those like helicopter interviews, like right before he gets off the plane or helicopter. But Kamala Harris yesterday also came out with the take where she openly stated, this is like as official as it's going to get, a ceasefire. However, there was a lot of conditions for the ceasefire. And I wanted to break down every single thing that she said. Is this the longer? I don't know if this is the longest version. There's got to be a better version of this. Do we have like the full-blown one? On the topic of be normal, how do you not allow rage to take over when encountering lies and propaganda like this? I don't know. I'm used to it. I do get really emotional still, but as a commentator, it is my job to also present this information in a way that is receptive to an audience, to a very broad audience of individuals that are not like-minded. My goal is to change minds, right? Not to like, I'm not proselytizing to the committed. I don't want the full speech. I just want the moment where she talks about Hamas and also the ceasefire. But anyway, let's see if I can. Here, let's just start here.
The immense scale of suffering in Gaza, there must be an immediate ceasefire.
People go crazy for this.
For at least the next 6 weeks.
But then immediately after she pauses, goes, for at least the next 6 weeks. So that's like first and foremost. It's like, wait, what? Ceasefire for at least the next 6 weeks? Okay, that's a weird way to reframe this. Okay, so she goes, at least she says at least. She doesn't say for the next 6 weeks, at least next 6 weeks. So what happens after 6 weeks? You know what I mean? By the way, I want to point to something here. There are a multitude of factors at play here. Obviously, Israel's relentless ethnic cleansing campaign having a massive human toll, like a baby murder machine, basically. A very successful baby murder machine being presented to the American population, to the Western world in broad daylight due to social media, but also due to the fact that like the Israelis themselves keep posting about it, has genuinely played a role in the people's attitude changing on the matter. But another very important part of this process is the continued pressure campaign. To those who say protests don't work, I present to you what you see in front of you. This is why I have always maintained the position that you have to keep pressuring. You have to keep applying pressure. You cannot stop. You cannot deviate. You have to. You must. Okay? Because it would have never gotten to this place, no matter the death toll, if people just looked away and didn't consistently try to find wherever Biden is, try to find wherever the Democratic Party is, and keep up the pressure. Protesting on the streets, going to the events that the Democratic Party is holding, and consistently push and push and push.
Which is what is currently on the table. This will get the hostages out and get a significant amount of aid in.
Yeah.
This would allow us to build something more enduring, to ensure Israel is secure, and to respect the right of the Palestinian people to dignity, freedom, and self-determination.
So that's really interesting because what they clipped out and posted, like their public-facing commentary on this, is very different than what she actually said when she was there. Interesting that this is what they chose to go along with, because if you listen to the full-blown, if you listen to her entire take uninterrupted, you get a very different vibe or a very different sense.
As President Joe Biden said on Friday, the United States is committed to urgently get more life-saving assistance to innocent Palestinians in need. Yesterday, the Department of Defense carried out its first airdrop of humanitarian assistance, and the United States will continue these airdrops. And we will work on a new route by sea to deliver aid. And the Israeli government must...
Yeah, let's see the Israeli attack helicopters dump munition into the fucking American ships like they did to Mavi Marmara that pushed through the blockade, the humanitarian aid that pushed through the blockade for last time. Let's see. Yeah. The American military is Hamas. What they are doing is delivering lethal aid to Hamas. We have found that the American military is doing Hamas terror.
Do more to significantly increase the flow of aid. No excuses.
I think one of the major changes in attitude, while Israel continues being consistently awful in its conduct, in the way that it is doing an ethnic cleansing campaign in Gaza, is that it is going to inevitably put the American government at odds with the interests of the Netanyahu cabinet. This is going to create a pressure valve. This is going to, I suspect, create an interest, a real interest in the American government that even Joe Biden's dumbass, old ass, demented ass can see, to say, we need an exit ramp. We need a fucking villain. That villain is going to be Benjamin Netanyahu. The Democratic Party, which originally was pushing the Itamar Ben-Gvir line pretty much, no red lines, bear-hugging Netanyahu, is going to look for a way to separate themselves or even push themselves in a position where they are at odds seemingly with the Israeli government. The villain is going to be Benjamin Netanyahu. They are going to assume the liberal Zionist line. They're going to start pushing that way more openly, where they say, yeah, this entire ethnic cleansing campaign is actually, you know, it's Israel's hands were forced, but Benjamin Netanyahu's gone too far, and he's doing this out of like pure self-interest, and that's why we got to get him out. We got to get our boy Benny Gantz in there, who is more popular than Benjamin Netanyahu, and he's going to continue doing the apartheid with a liberal veneer. Because the reality is, if Israel continues being at odds with the American government this publicly, if they continue being at odds with the American government this publicly and this openly, there will be a need for the American government to change its to change his position. You literally said the West would backtrack months after October 7. It's so bittersweet to see it happen. Yeah, I mean, I knew anyone who has seen the way that Israel carries out these operations knew that this is what was going to happen. Okay? That's it. Gen Z news anchor called you out. What? Obama endured like 2 terms of this. Only way Biden does this is if Israel acts more out of pocket. No. There has never been a situation in contemporary American politics where Israel was this aggro. There is no comparison. In the past, the American government was also way faster in even Biden himself. Even Biden himself is like stopped Benjamin Netanyahu in the past in 2021. By the way, look no further than this. Harris to meet with Israeli Minister Benny Gantz to discuss temporary Gaza ceasefire. This is the American government basically saying we're sidestepping Netanyahu and we're presenting Benny Gantz as the guy. He's in D.C. currently talking to American envoys, American politicians. This should have happened a long ass fucking time ago. Even by the standards of like Democratic Party's interest in self-preservation, American soft power in the region, regional stability. It should have happened months ago. Gantz is still a part of the war cabinet. He is no peaceful dove by any metric, for the record. I'm not saying that at all. I'm simply stating that although Gantz isn't any fucking better, okay, is not any better, this would have been a perfect narrative for the American government to be like, we still have control over what's going on, and we're actually getting, we're forcing some concessions out of Israel. But they didn't even fucking do that. They didn't even do that. They're literally sidestepping the prime minister, but the U.S. doesn't have that kind of power over Israel. Yeah, anyone who tells you that the United States doesn't have this kind of power over Israel is either a liar or very stupid, like the stupidest person on the planet. Okay? I'm sorry. They're either completely misguided or they're just deliberately lying to you. America has always had this kind of control over Israel. Israel would not exist in the way that it does as an apartheid regime without political cover that we offer to it and also the weapons that we give it. It is our state and not even a shitty state like North Dakota, like an important state, okay? Won't there be backlash from the Zionist lobbyists? It don't fucking matter, okay? It don't matter. This is about America maintaining its soft power around the world. This is about America maintaining regional stability. That's why there are literal State Department officials that have dedicated their whole lives to destabilizing these fucking regions that are literally saying the same things I'm saying. This is in the interest of self-preservation for America, and it's in the interest of self-preservation for Israel. If Israel wants to continue being an apartheid regime, it cannot continue doing this ethnic cleansing. Do you understand? That is what I'm saying. This is not for like long-term peace or Palestinian autonomy at all. I don't think America gives a shit about that beyond simply caring about regional stability. Anyway. So they're doing that already. They're sidestepping Benjamin Netanyahu a little bit.
They must open new border crossings. They must not impose any unnecessary restrictions on the delivery of aid. They must ensure humanitarian personnel, sites, and convoys are not targeted. And they must work to restore basic services and promote order in Gaza so more food, water, and fuel can reach those in need. As I have said repeatedly since October 7, Israel has a right to defend itself. And President Joe Biden and I are unwavering in our commitment to Israel's security.
Yeah, see, like, and then after the ceasefire talks with like conditions peppered into it, she immediately is like, Israel has a right to defend itself. Come on, please.
Hamas cannot control Gaza. And the threat Hamas poses to the people of Israel must be eliminated. Hamas is a brutal terrorist organization that has vowed to repeat October 7th again and again.
It's like the rest of it is basically just like the regular old lines that you've heard a million times over. Yeah, the clapping stops immediately, by the way, which is pretty funny.
Until Israel is annihilated. Hamas has shown no regard for innocent life, including for the people of Gaza, who have suffered under its rule for almost 2 decades.
Yeah. Speaking over Palestinians, their wants, their needs, their desires, and not even like looking at it critically, not even looking at it seriously. This kind of attitude is of course going to be commonplace in American politics. It is certainly the attitude of the Western media. It's certainly the attitude that they're trying to present as like the norm. This is the exact type of energy as like this is the exact type of energy as those who have brilliant opinions like let's put the Palestinian Authority in charge of Gaza. You are a fucking dumbass if you think that that is a valid solution. You're just so wrong. I don't know how else to describe it. The Palestinian Authority is seen, understandably so, by Palestinians as a part of the Israeli security apparatus. You are fucking delusional. And they are a part of the Israeli security apparatus. The Palestinian Authority participates in the kidnapping and torturing of Palestinians in the West Bank. That is why, when polled, Palestinian people say time and time again that the PA is not popular. It is the second least popular entity in the region. Hamas is infinitely more popular than the Palestinian Authority. There is also a comfortable middle ground here that Hamas is willing to concede on. Okay? There is a third way out of this situation, and if you were an honest actor, you would recognize that. Hold on. What is the name of the dude again? I keep forgetting. Is the PLA considered to be controlled opposition at this point by Palestinians? It's not even... The Palestinian Authority is not even considered controlled opposition. The Palestinian Authority is considered to be the opposition. Like, I mean, or not the opposition, to be a part of the Israeli security apparatus, because it is. Okay? That is the reason why they are almost as unpopular as Israel is in the eyes of the Palestinians. That's it.
And Hamas still holds dozens of hostages for nearly 150 days now. Innocent men and women, including American citizens.
Yes, the person I was looking for, thank you, Turbo Greg, is Marwan Barghouti. Marwan Hasib Ibrahim Barghouti is a Palestinian political figure convicted and imprisoned for murder by an Israeli court. He's regarded as the leader of the first and second intifadas. Barghouti at the one time supported the peace process, but later became disillusioned, and after 2000 went on to become the leader of the second intifada from the West Bank. Barghouti was the leader of Tanzim, a paramilitary offshoot of Fatah. Israeli authorities have called Barghouti a terrorist, accusing him of directing numerous attacks, including suicide bombings against civilian and military targets alike. Barghouti was arrested by the IDF in 2002 in Ramallah. He was tried and convicted on charges of murder and sentenced to 5 life sentences. Marwan Barghouti is the He is the Nelson, regarded as the Nelson Mandela of Palestine, of Palestinians. His release is also, they didn't kill him. No, there's another person that there's another brother that they killed him. There's another brother that they killed. One of the Barghouti brothers, I think, was killed. The thing is, Barghouti is still one of the most active. I don't understand. Isn't he supposed to be a murderer? Brother, I don't know how to describe this to you, but okay, sister, I don't know how to describe this to you, but you must understand that his crime is resisting against a genocidal apartheid ethno-state that occupies the existence of Palestinians. What are you licking? Sorry, I'm just looking at my little baby.
Citizens who were brutally taken from their homes and from a concert. I will repeat, the threat of Hamas poses to the people of Israel must be eliminated. And given the immense scale of suffering in Gaza, there must be an immediate ceasefire. For at least the next 6 weeks, which is what is currently.
His trial was a sham. There was no evidence, and all the eyewitnesses were in favor of his innocence. There was a European institute that audited the trial and said it was a sham. Yeah, I mean, it doesn't fucking matter.
On the table. This will get the hostages out and get a significant amount of aid in. This would allow us to build something more enduring, to ensure Israel is secure, and to respect the right of the Palestinian people to dignity, freedom, and...
Just so you understand, they just don't want Israel to go in and kill Palestinians during Ramadan. Because if they do that, then they are going to invoke the wrath of the entire Muslim world, okay? Justifiably and understandably. This is a holy month for the Ummah. This is very important. Israel routinely is the most violent during Ramadan, for the record. Just so you understand, it is when it is usually around this time where Israel starts increasing its pressure in the West Bank, which I suspect they will continue to do. What the fuck? Ramadan will make it unacceptable, but until then, no worries. No, guys, it's all about what Israel can get away with. Okay? What the American State Department, like what the entirety of the American State Department will consider to be a red line crossed. I suspect that Israel will reshift its priorities and focus into the West Bank, as they normally do during Ramadan, as they have done time and time again. Which will, of course, understandably create a lot more anger amongst the Palestinian population, especially in Gaza. and in West Bank as well. I hope that that's not what happens. But remember, these guys only talk about ceasefire in Gaza, and they barely even talk about ceasefire in Gaza as Israel is continuing an ethnic cleansing campaign in Gaza. Israel has not decreased its pressure on the occupied territory of West Bank, where 2.5 million Palestinians live. And oftentimes, in at least the past decade, every single time Hamas has retaliated and violated the ceasefire that everyone loves talking about, has always been in retaliation for the acts that the Israeli occupying force has done, the unimaginable, inhumane, profoundly cruel acts upon Palestinians at the Al-Aqsa Mosque. Okay? There is an annual raid at Al-Aqsa that the occupying force conducts, where they brutalize, beat the shit out of, and throw grenades into the fucking mosque. They stop travel to Al-Aqsa as best as they can. And while you in Iowa might be thinking, all religions are cringe, this is what these people have. It's all they have is their faith. Okay? When you shut that off, historically, that always leads to tremendous conflict. It is outward religious suppression. It is completely unacceptable. I do not give a fuck about your childish takes as an r/atheist Redditor. What matters is allowing these people to freely practice their religion.
Self-determination. Hamas claims it wants a ceasefire. Well, there is a deal on the table.
I thought you said this isn't a war about religion. It's not. Brother, this is not a war about religion at all. You have to be a fucking dumbass to think it is. Religious suppression does not imply that this is a war about religion. What the fuck are we talking about here? What you're missing is Israel's interests. It has nothing to do with Judaism. Israel's actions are antithetical to Judaism. No matter how hard they claim it is done at the behest of Judaism. It is about land. It is about power. It is about creating an ethno-state. Religious suppression is simply another fascist tool to humiliate the masses, to continue the pressure. That's it. Because think about it this way. There are plenty of Palestinian Christians as well, and their rights, their religious rights, are always regularly suppressed. It's supposed to be, Judeo-Christian values in the United States of America.
And as we have said, Hamas needs to agree to that deal. Let's get us.
I agree, but religious ethno-state says it all. Religion does play a big part in the problem, too. Religion is simply a tool. It is an organizing tool. That's it. Okay? Move beyond seeing the word religion and immediately thinking, oh, this is a religious war. It's a holy war. It's not. Okay? It never is. Religion can be used as a tool for abolition, revolution, or it can be used as a mechanism to suppress. Religion played a role in both sides of the Civil War. religion played a role in both sides of the argument for and against slavery. Liberation theology was formative and important in the, literally, we're looking at the Edmund Pettus Bridge right now. Why is this a famous bridge? It played a profoundly important role in the civil rights movement. Liberation theology did. Martin Luther King is a fucking reverend. Religion also, Christianity especially, was utilized as a tool to justify and normalize slavery. At a certain point, you must understand, religion is subject to interpretation. It is never the primary role. It is just a way to galvanize the masses. That's it. And for the Palestinians, religion is all they have. Islam, Christianity, and their faith is all they have that remains when they have nothing else. So taking that away and suppressing that is a big part of the fascist toolkit. Israel is no more a defender of Judaism and Jewish principles than ISIS is of Islam. Both are colonial entities in the region that have bastardized the interpretation of religion and claim that they are engaging in righteous conquest due to the fact that they claim that they are defenders of their respective religions. They are not. That's it. Get it out of your fucking head. Now, of course, the difference is that the entirety of the Muslim world do not agree that ISIS is a true believer of Islam. And unfortunately, because of Israel's material importance and geopolitical interest for American interests in the region, defenders of Israel have been able to very successfully create the narrative that Israel is Israel does this at the behest of Judaism. Okay? But it is not the case. No more than Saudi Arabia's genocide in Yemen was an act of religion. It was not. Yes, the Houthis were aligned with Iran, but it is simply a motivator. It is simply a mechanism to create support. It's not the primary reason.
Ceasefire. Let's reunite the hostages with their families, and let's provide immediate relief to the people of Gaza. I will now address the occasion for our gathering today.
Anyway, and then the rest of it is other stuff, but this is it.